I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Father in heaven, Almighty God, we come to your throne of grace tonight, Father, and as we come, God, we're just humble, Lord God, Father, for another day of life and another time, God, you've allowed us to come, Father. And Father, as we come today, Father, we come thanking you, Lord, Father, for the gift of life. We thank you for our Savior, Lord God, and we thank you, Lord, Father, that you've assembled those here together tonight. Father, I pray, God, Father, that you would just give us the wisdom, Father. You say in your word, if any of us lack wisdom, then we're to ask of you, Father, and you'll give wisdom, Father. Father, we pray for wisdom, God. We pray, Lord, Father, for each and every one sitting at this table, each and every one in the crowd, Lord God. Father, help us at this table, Lord, Father, to do the county business, God, in a way to be pleasing to you. Father, we just ask you, God, that you lead, guide, and direct, and lead us ever toward the cross of Calvary. And it's in the name of Jesus we ask and pray. Amen.
Amen.
Here. Russell Reed.
Here.
Corey Davenport.
Here.
Aaron Ashford. Here. Jim Bush.
On his way.
Craig Mitchell.
Here.
Brent Brandon.
Here.
Randy Gannon.
Here.
Tim Davenport. Here. And Ronnie Mack.
Here.
Next item on the agenda is reading and approval of minutes. Open up the discussion.
That's a question that did nothing to do with minutes, ask if, Corey knows that Mark Pody did any, research on the unclaimed property note in Bryan County. You meet your last time, Mark Pody researching the unclaimed property.
I think he's in the process, but I think Don is actually working on it too.
Don and Rex will talk about this tonight with the business concerning the property I have.
No, I haven't answered your questions on it. I haven't heard anything back.
Yes, for setting the county commission meeting times, we don't have the Saturday times written in there.
I don't think we discussed this, but it's always been done.
We could make an amendment or bring it back again or. 10 o'clock's on the commission Saturday night. No discussion. Where was that at?
Said county commission.
It's on the second page. Or third page, I guess.
We got five, we changed the time and, go to 5:30 for the normal weekly meeting and we just oversight for the.
Well, what changed?
Go ahead and change, that's right. Yes, sir.
It's the same thing.
Refresh me, why don't we change it to January, not January?
Because then we're doing a Saturday meeting.
Oh, okay, that was it. So it's 5:30 on Thursdays, beginning in February. And then the Saturday meeting, fourth.
Any other comments?
Janine Floyd.
Yes.
Russell Reed.
Yes.
Corey Davenport.
Yes.
Aaron Ashford. Yes. Craig Mitchell.
Yes.
Brent Brandon.
Yes.
Randy Gannon.
Yes.
Tim Davenport. Yes. Ronnie Mack.
Yes.
Next item is approved notaries.
Okay, I have one notary, Patricia Simpson.
Discussion.
One second.
Voice vote, is it okay? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Next item on the agenda is the Board of Education's budget amendment. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got a question. I was reading the Middle Tennessee Electric magazine where they gave county $1,700 in October. And I understand they do that every month. Tell me who that goes to, and is it any oversight on where the money goes?
I don't know, I should give.
Well, I'm just asking.
17, one person number?
Somebody told me it went to the abused kids and women. Or the
Keep the grant safe.
I don't,
They have their own
Yeah, they have a lot. I'm just saying,
If it
if
goes
that's
to
where it goes.
organization, they have their own oversight.
I couldn't verify that, I'll look into it.
I'm sure Middle Tennessee Electric could probably tell us, but I didn't call them. I got something else I want to say.
Yeah, go ahead and address, Mr.
When the Woodbury police arrest someone, they take them over and put them in the county jail. If they have to be tried in court, they bring them over here to county courthouse. If they have to be incarcerated, they take them back to the county jail. Nowhere on either of these buildings do I see where it says Woodbury on it. So why should the taxpayers of all the other districts have to pay for the people that the Woodbury police choose to prosecute? I'd like somebody to answer that if they could, at the taxpayers' expense of everybody that don't live in Woodbury. That's double taxation right there, just like the garbage bill, the way I see it. If I'm wrong, I apologize. They need their own jail, they need their own court system. Why should the county have to take care of the prisoners? Is there some law that says they have to?
I do know that the TCA said that the county is required to have a sheriff's department and a jail.
No.
As far as the.
Well, there's one solution with take care of all this, and I'll probably get run out of here, it's called Metro Government.
There, you have a comment?
Under law, under state law, county, sheriff, unless you got a metro government, have to take all detainees where it's sheriff's department, city police department, state, feds, which feds very seldom ever bring one, they do, they just drop them off overnight. But that's a state law, you'll have to
Well, I
have
know
a
the
representative.
city don't contribute nothing to the county for incarcerating them. I mean, y'all get any money from the city?
The court system does, we don't.
That's what I'm saying. Hey, if y'all was prisoners, if y'all arrested, y'all need to have a jail for it. It's just the same thing with the garbage, trying to say that y'all live in the fifth, but it's double taxation, but it's not. It's the same difference, is what it is.
People who live in the city, they county has city tax.
Any other comment? Any comments from here? The only thing I'd like to make public is that, I wanna congratulate the Solid Waste Committee for working really hard for the last several, months to lay on the future of the convenience center. So, I appreciate them, they're already in the process. We do have a company that is willing to, work and provide the contracts and provide the architecture plans. And, we're gonna lay out some things to y'all. At some point, we'll have to bring it before the commission. We're gonna have to raise some money for this engineering firm. And so I just wanted to update the public on that. We should have a convenience center that's operational, a lot more efficient. Hopefully, it'll probably be about a 6 months process. We don't, I don't have any place in that in the agenda. Again, we just finished it, we can't talk about it under other business. We have to approve any kind of outflow of money by the full commission. But the Solid Waste Committee has approved the work of the engineers and what they presented so far. Next item on the agenda, thank you, sir, appreciate your comments. Any other comments?
Hey, Brett.
Yes, sir.
Real quick,
I'd like to say that the town hall meeting that you guys had, here a couple of weeks ago was really nice, really informative. Enjoyed that, hope you'll do it again. Everybody had their chance to voice their opinion, their approval or disapproval of everything, but, and I think we've got some commissioners that are really this time trying to save money for the taxpayer. And I'll just say one more thing that I said that night. If a commissioner proposes something, or if there's somebody out here that proposes something that's going to cost the county some money, be prepared to state what you expect that money to come from. It's, everybody wants to do good things for everybody else. You gotta stop and say, have I got the money to do this? So, if I make a proposal for you to do something, ask you to do something, I need to be able to tell you where that money's gonna come from, or what we gotta cut to get it. So, I'll just ask the commissioners to do that, or anybody else that's in this room, be prepared to do that if they wanna spend some money, tell me where it's coming from. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Day. Lee, number 8. Board of Education budget amendment, any discussion? Mr. Curtis,
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Bush, Mr. Brent, Brandon, Mr. Randy Gaines. Named all here, appreciate everybody tonight. This evening, I'd like to look at resolution number 4. Before, I got your mic down, turn on the mic there, big one, right? I have a red button, is that, wherever we go. Everybody can hear me back on the car end down there. But, appreciate y'all. Resolution number 4, you have before you, that's from food service, be resolved, Kent County Board of Education meeting in regular session on November the 8th, 2018, to approve the following amendment to the 2018-2019 general purpose school budget. Amount of $35,000 be transferred if needed from 141 general purpose school fund to 143 food service school fund for cash flow until food service funds have received these funds. This amount will be maintained in the fund until the budgeted to return to the 141 general fund. Resolution presented to the county commission at their December 6, 2018 meeting. Mr. Jeff Rensell is here. Had some overruns in food service, and particularly when it comes to wages. And all this is a preventative measure, very similar to what you do, in taking some because we not got funds that have been brought forward because of collection purposes. So this is just a safe gap measure. To this date, we've not had to utilize any of those funds, but we want to be prepared if we did. Ms. Rensell, you want to make any comments regarding that?
discussion.
What was the date? We're going to return that money to the fund? It will be returned, as soon as it's necessary, as needed.
So you could leave it in there forever?
Negative.
So what's the date?
This budget year, so, by the end of this budget year.
Yeah, Mr. Curtis, is this being due primarily due to the mandatory salary increases?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Cafeteria employees?
Yes, sir.
And
We'll be looking at that come our budget committee meetings, that'll be starting our budget hearings that we'll be doing in January. That's probably one of the major items on those discussions.
are those mandatory increases to go beyond this fiscal year?
Those were in perpetual until $20 is reached for each individual person. The board is scheduled to relook at that in January in our budget for the following year.
So y'all have the authority to reevaluate that every year and to set the size of the board? Thank you.
Yes, so this is nothing new. I remember we did this.
What's new is that we weren't used to giving 50-cent increases, we were used to giving percentage increases. So 1%, 2%, things like that. So 3 years of that for food service has been a lot. So this is just the safeguard fund at the end, that the board sees value in giving these people raises as
like to eat now?
Yeah, I mean, that's determined by the day, you know, of course, but, we're doing summer feeding, we're doing after school, we're giving them snacks, we're trying to do things to increase our revenue. We just need a safeguard there that it's okay to do this if we have to do this. They can't just give us money.
And I could ask Mr. Gaines questions too, is that, the board is probably going to, Randy, I can't predict what the board will do, but what I can tell you is that they're gonna be looking at that, probably going back to a percentage instead of just a 50 cent across the board.
Mr. Curtis, how come you pulling this out of the general purpose school when the cafeteria fund shows about a $97,000 fund balance?
Because that fund balance may change, correct, in the sense of that is subject to change after you do what we're doing. So, it depends on what bills come in, that sort of thing.
And when we
That's why
get our
it's been out of general
reimbursement,
purpose.
we get our reimbursement once a month, so it might be there, it might not be there. Anytime in there.
You say timely manner, it's supposed to be there in a month, what, 2 months?
No, it usually comes within 10 or 15 days, this month it took a month and a half, because the end of the federal fiscal year is October 30th. So they were trying to get everything situated, that's the only month where it's kind of, it takes longer, like usually 15 days.
So this is money coming back
So,
from the federal government.
yeah, so I pay for the food, I pay for my wages, we pay for the meals, we file a claim that says we've served 2,000 meals, and they give us our reimbursement back.
But you said that you would pay it back by the end of the fiscal year, correct?
Absolutely.
I'll say.
Call roll.
Janine Floyd,
Yes.
Russell Reed,
Yes.
Corey Davenport,
Yes.
Aaron Ashford. Yes. Jim Bush,
Yeah.
Greg Mitchell,
Yes.
Grant Brandon,
Yes.
Randy Gainer,
Yes.
Kim Davenport,
Yes.
Ronnie Mahaffey.
Yes.
10-4 motion carried.
We'll go to our next one. Thank you. Dr. Wise. Our second resolution is one we were here last month for, and on October the 11th, the County Board of Education, a motion was made by Jason Fan, seconded by Brian Elrod, to ask the county commission to designate $40,000 from education debt service for the construction of a baseball facility at the fairgrounds. Motion carried, 5-4, none against. And this was as a result of one of your body addressing the board concerning education debt service to fund roof repairs and a baseball field, or baseball building, at the fairgrounds ball field. And so, we missed the deadline, we were off on fall break, missed that deadline. Also, Ms. Melody Hodges with the comptroller's office was asked in regarding doing this, and she suggested the county commission approve a budget amendment to contribute a transfer of $40,000 from education debt service to the general purpose school fund. Since the education debt service fund total revenue source is school tax, not property tax, transfer of funds is not violating the tax in for one purpose and using it for another. Also, the real tax resolution states for school construction, renovation, schooling purposes, we're using the wheel tax revenue to construct a school locker room, which is within the allowable uses of revenue at Peters. And so, what we did, I contacted, the county executive, Bush, and also Diane, and what I did there is stated tonight during the county commission meeting, it's a formal request to please place a budget amendment for $40,000 for education debt service to the County Schools General Purpose Fund for the construction of a baseball facility on the agenda as first item of new business, customary item 9, which was item 8 tonight, for the December 6, 2018 meeting of the county commission. And again, the board, the County School Board has voted to ask for me to be here to do this tonight. I also have members of the baseball team here. Coach Cole Jones is also here. We have some assistant coaches, parents, who would like to see this facility constructed. And we appreciate my former students here tonight looking at this governmental process. So I would just ask to hear the message of the county school board.
Discussion? Well, you know, I mean, I'm going right back to our first meeting we had when we discussed the leasing of the property and what was told us at the time that there would be no school funds to be used in this process. Now, you're asking for $40,000 of your school funds to do this, okay? Also, I don't understand, all right, y'all went ahead and y'all voted to put roofs on 3 buildings.
Now, that is incorrect, sir.
Huh?
That is incorrect.
You've got 3 buildings that you're gonna put roofs on?
No, sir.
Two.
Two. And that is right now. That'll be germane to that issue coming up in January.
All right, and as a cost of how much? How much are the 2 roofs gonna cost?
Well, one of them is 1.8 million, the other at the high school, the other is $614,000 a building. That was incorrect by the paper, so I don't see Kevin here there.
Okay.
That was incorrect. What was not Woodbury Grammar, it was Woodlawn.
Okay. So one was 1.1,
1.8 million according if we do the KU.
and then you had 600,000 for the other?
Correct. But the issue tonight is the baseball field.
Well,
We'll get to the roofs here in
we're
just a
more,
moment.
all right, I understand that, we're talking money. Okay? Total, I'm looking at a big picture here, I'm just not looking at $40,000. You know, y'all have needs and wants as far as roofs and all this, okay? And I understand that problem. But I can't understand when the commission was promised one thing, then you turn around and say, well, that ain't right. And I have a problem with that. If somebody tells me something, that's what we go by. And I rest assure you, the vote that come up to lease y'all that property over there was on the very conversation I had with the coach at that time. Okay? And it was said, and you were here, that there would be no school funds used to do this building. Am I not correct with that?
Yes, sir, at the time, that was correct.
Okay. So, with you saying that, and then what was said, I'm sorry, I can't go along with it. When y'all have other needs.
You have questions for the director?
What changed? What changed? And something had to change where you were saying, no, we're not gonna use our funds. And then now all of a sudden, we're looking at $40,000. So what changed?
I think that was addressed at the previous commission meeting, not the last one before, correct, Mr. Tannehill? So, our donor pulled out.
Okay.
Checks in the mail.
The donor pulled out, I think, Mr. Davenport addressed that at the next meeting. Yes, Mr.
Were any grants, have any grants ever been pursued or?
Yes, county grant, but she said there was none at the current time.
Did you try Cumberland by any chance?
No, we just went to the county.
Have you tried Middle Tennessee Electric, their grant process, there's still money there?
And we have community, Mr. Jones, you might want to address them about how your community support, you still have community support
Yeah, we've got
in the process.
funds, but not anywhere close to where we could build a building. Of
Would
course,
you
we had,
speak in the mic, please?
of course, we had
Thank
a donor that was going to potentially give us money, and I met with him. Our athletic director met with him, and a member of the bank, and he told us, you know, hey, I'll get back in touch with you. Long story short, he had other plans for his money. It's his money, I guess. He can use it how he wants to. after that meeting, he said he was not going to pursue that anymore. We were kind of just left out to dry after that last meeting.
Looking for a new donor.
Correct.
What can you do?
I'm just curious how much that, you know, an architect, you know, a surveyor, you're gonna have it probably surveyed off, or, you know, a lot of these things, like, what is your prep work in? I can't imagine you rebuilding a building for $40,000 and it be a, building that has all.
We have about 18,000 more for the other expenses.
So you're
For
talking
concrete
about
and everything.
58,000 total?
Our last total, concrete, the building, the insulation, the electrical, was 56,000.
Cages or whatever
Yes,
that
we-
you use,
yeah.
everything, that's including everything.
Yes, ma'am.
Sprinkler system?
We do not have sprinklers on the field. We use Mother Nature.
First question.
It's gonna be ADA compliant, do you have, who is the architect, who is you already?
Well, it would be a bid process.
Bid.
Was you approached, Mr. Bush, went over and looked? You have showers, you have lockers, you have access to do what you need to do at the rec center?
I have not been approached.
Just to clarify that portion, that whenever this issue, brought to my attention concerning, this facility being built, I was under the impression that it was because we had no access to bathrooms, showers, and things of that nature. So, I think me and Mr. Curtis and several others went over to the community center and, walked with the tour to make sure that that is available as an option for you. I think it was addressed that visiting teams had to go to the local restaurants and establishments.
We have sent them to Taco Bell and Dollar General.
And I think you are aware that there is a place for you.
Our own parents use Taco Bell, Dollar General.
But there is the community center is available, it's up to, all you have to do is coordinate that. I think that Mr. Curtis is aware of that. Make sure if you need anything, keys or that nature, we can provide some limited maintenance and open it up for you. You can access it through the back, through the ball field. That's the only thing that I thought was incumbent upon the county to ensure. I thought that maybe the facility may be in disrepair. So the community center is available, if that's the question.
But you're saying it's available for dressing and changing clothes in the bathroom?
And shop, correct. That's it. Yeah, just the backside. It is available, that, before it goes toward the pool. There's 2 locker rooms that are in pretty decent shape. Need some light maintenance, with hot water's on, cold water's on. I've toured those, I think Mr. Curtis also walked around it. That was the product.
There should be external access to those two.
And there is external access to those facilities.
Can I address Randall's question earlier? You were talking about spending money. So, just for the record, and I'll let you verify this for you, this is coming out of the Education Debt Service Fund,
Which is their money.
which is the school's money. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the comptroller told us that we cannot legally spend that money on anything other than school projects. Is that correct?
Correct.
And the referendum says that. Is that not correct? And currently, they have $1.6 million in that account, and the county owes them another $1 million due to be paid back in February, along with an additional $700,000 that we borrowed or actually spent legally, years back.
Over a decade.
Years back. So that's where that money's coming from. If we vote to approve this does not raise taxes in any capacity. It does not cause any budget to not have any money in it. It's simply money that you as a taxpayer, when you buy your license, you've already paid it. It's sitting in the bank right now. And all we're doing against it is borrowing. That's it. That's the only thing that money does.
Is there gonna be a note issued from a bank for this $40,000?
No.
Then you can't move the money. There has to be a debt created in order to move the money out of that account.
according to Melody Hodges.
Educational debt service has to have a debt instrument for this.
He's going to general debt service or the
Yeah,
education.
correct.
Unless you borrow money and need a payment, you cannot take the money out of that account when one's forced to sell.
Actual number.
So then you can go to the bank, get a loan, and turn around and take the money that we,
Yeah, sitting in educational debt service right now is 1.609. 1.6 million dollars.
we couldn't take $200,000 out of that and put it in, and use it for the solid waste too.
That's trans, no, it's different.
Right, but I mean, we couldn't literally take $200,000 or $40,000 or $50,000 and say, go over there and pave the parking lot, could we?
No,
Not unless we go to prove
Okay.
it.
not unless you go to the bank. borrow
But we would
money,
have to pay it back.
And then you pay interest when you borrow.
Correct. So this is money that only the schools can use.
And only if they go get a mortgage.
So you can go, are you gonna go get a mold? If that's what you have to
That's
do?
what I have to do. That'll be up to Mr. Perkins.
Well, you know, I like that. Well, actually, it's
About
up to the
it
county. Because the county commission has to approve all ours.
And, you know, I appreciate your argument about it, school money, and they can do it if they want to, but that's not the issue.
Well,
The issue is, what's the greatest need for the county's
That's
children?
not for us to decide though, Gina, that's the school board. They're the ones that sets the priorities on what they wanna spend, if they wanna go build a parking lot, a playground, or a cafeteria, that's their job, not ours.
They may have the authority to do that, but I have the authority to express my opinion and my concerns.
I'm fine with that,
Okay.
but we can't
My concern
appropriate
is,
it and then tell them what
my
to do.
concern is, how much is your debt payment a year?
We'd have to do some, I'd have to do some research on that, because it's done through debt service over that was borrowed back in 2003 time period.
Around
Which is
800
done, yeah, somewhere.
Around $800,000. Then you got 1.5 million for your roof. For me, when you came, what I really remember, and it really touched my heart, you talked about, we have catastrophic roof failure.
Absolutely.
It could actually fall in on our kids. And we have buckets out at Woodland Grammar School right now that the teachers are really, you know, they're spending more time, catching water than they are teaching kids nearly. And that's not exactly what you said, but in my mind, that was just such a concern. And right now, the way we are tied on our money, it really is a concern, really. And you know, it's kinda like it's Christmas coming up, and you got to remember that we have things we need to pay. If we were in my household, we have things, and I can't just go out here and just spend with no regard, knowing that I've got a leaky roof or a, you know, like a electric bill and all these things, and I'm not talking about that it compares with an electric bill, but it's really concerning me. Really concerning.
Since this issue is resolved, I will have a resolution, or ask you to put us on board, same thing, the first thing on the agenda for the January meeting, to discuss the rules.
Let me ask you, well, let me say one or two things. One, 2016, this board, the X board, voted to relieve the schools from paying $60,000 wheel tax. That's money, that's $120,000 for roofs right there. Jim, you voted for that,
We relieve them.
of $60,000.
No,
Yes, I've got the resolution in front of me.
we relieve them of paying on the note.
The school board was next on the agenda, it was noted the school board had voted twice not to accept the 3-cent cut of education share of the county property tax. The 3-cent cut was recommended by the county commissioners budget committee, met the guidelines from the comptroller's office. Mark Barker, chairman of the budget committee, suggested to reduce the $250,000 paid by the school board each year on the construction of the high school. That goes toward the roofs.
So I think you was thinking $250,000.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we.
There's 60,000 and 250,000.
So
We relieve them of paying on the note.
That's my point, because
Exactly.
where would it have went to? It would have went to education debt service fund,
which would pay for the roofs, correct?
No.
No? Where did that money go?
It wouldn't go. It goes in their general purpose money.
But
Don't go back into that, sir.
The $250,000.
They gained $250,000.
I get what you're saying, but the $250,000 that you voted to move
Right.
would have went into education debt service.
No.
If they had paid it, yes, it would have,
Well, it would have went into this.
which would have paid for the roofs.
We're gonna have a debt analysis, I have asked, Ben Rogers, and I think other people have also pursued it too, I believe you have. I would really rather have a debt analysis to see how much money, how we're gonna cash flow. I'm looking at the cash flow sheet right now. This is what I'm going by.
For what? The school?
Mhm.
Again, these are school board issues. We have one authority, appropriate money. We don't have to tell them to do that.
Or about yes or no?
Yes,
I say
I make a
appropriate
motion
money.
that we go ahead and vote.
Yes. I'll second.
Call the roll.
Janine Lloyd.
Now, wait a minute,
Motion,
wait a minute.
motion's up first.
Let's take care on the motion.
Well, the motion is to do $40,000.
Now, her motion is
I make a motion
that we vote,
that we vote.
to vote on the motion.
So we're voting on the motion.
Yeah, I'm glad you caught me, because I was thinking it was voting on the 40K.
Mr. Chairman, would you not just have a motion and vote on the motion?
Well, I just,
Okay, I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion that we go ahead and vote on this 40K
40K budget amendment.
Budget
for-
amendment.
With the school.
with the schools.
What was presented by.
Yes,
Mr.
by
Curtis.
Mr. Curtis.
We have a second.
I second.
Call the roll.
Janine Lloyd,
No,
Russell Reed,
No.
Corey Davenport.
Yes.
Karen Ashford. Yes. Jim Bush,
No.
Greg Mitchell,
Yes.
Brent Brandon,
Yes.
Randy Gannon,
Yes.
Kim Davenport,
No.
Ronnie Mahaffey.
No.
So you gotta break the tie.
No. All right, next item on the bid, on the budget.
Mr. Chairman, if I can have a point of privilege.
Yes, go ahead.
Privilege Commission, we had mentioned here a few moments ago, roofs. And let me, I'd like to say something about the roofs. If anybody needs a roof report, please raise your hand and I will get you a roof report instead of just in your, emails. I would be glad and happy to give you a roof report, a hard copy of our roof report. So you got the PowerPoint, that was April 27th. And you also have, which was updated from February 5th, and then you have the detailed report, the pictures and site visit that David did about a year ago. So does anybody need a copy of that is new to the commission that does not have that?
What was the date of yours, Mr. Clerk?
April 27th PowerPoint. I've got one, y'all got, okay, let's go with that, I'll give you that one right there, sir. Okay. There you go, Ron. Does anyone need an additional thing? Mr. Chairman, I'd like to formally ask the board to be put as, item number 8 or 9, whichever is first, on the January meeting of the County Commission. I'll follow up that email to both Diane and to the county executive in the morning.
Yes, sir.
Thank y'all very much.
Mr. Curtis, may I also say that with this, I'm getting with the county maintenance gentleman, and we are going, and we're in the process of getting all the showers and everything repaired. We're having them painted in the school colors of the high school, and it will be ready for use hopefully by the time that the Christmas schedule is over with, as far as, coming back to school after Christmas. We're gonna use the inmates, I'm helping with the maintenance gentleman to get this in order, so y'all will have
I appreciate the use of the restrooms, however, the pitching facility is what was really, really needed. And you made your point, I appreciate that, I will take the results of this to the Kansas County Board of Education for action, probably January.
Next item is number 9, Richard Johnson. Sheriff, the floor is yours to address the commission regarding the website. Appreciate you, Greg.
Can I follow somebody else?
No.
I'd like to thank the county executive and the commissioners and the residents of Canyon County for giving me this time to demonstrate a new website that I've been working on. In order to understand this site, why this site, and why now, I'd like to give you just a little brief background. Back in 2012, I sold my company and wanted to relocate to some place with a little greater out of doors than what I had in Brentwood. In the process of doing that, I discovered about Canyon County and all the nice attributes you enjoy out here. I wanted to find more about Canyon County, so what do? You go to Google, you ask Google anything and they know. So I went to the internet and I did an internet search on Canyon County, and unfortunately, Google doesn't know everything. In fact, there was not as much information available on Canyon County that I would have liked. First of all, I found one website put up by a very angry person who really doesn't like Canyon County. I think some members of the commission know who I'm talking about. I also found some postings from a radio station, and they were 2 or 3 years out of date, so that wasn't particularly effective. About the only thing that I really found that was helpful was, surprisingly enough, the Chamber of Commerce has a section of Canyon County government on the Canyon County Chamber of Commerce website that was helpful. So I found out about Canyon County and decided to come and relocate it, and I've been a resident for about the last 4 years now. At the time, after I moved, I went to the county executive's office, and I said, well, I ventured a little bit about the poor representation Canyon County had at that time. I was told very nicely and very politely that it was being addressed, and kind of got a little, don't go away, man, just go away. Moving forward to the last county election, and we now have a new county executive, and we have several new county commissioners as a result of that election. I found out that a lot of the financial issues that was problem in Canyon County in the previous administration had kind of been bundled up in a little ball and kicked down the road, so to speak. With the new administration, to their credit, they're stepping up and dealing with the hard questions that should have been dealt with a long time ago. One of those was the county had been paying the Chamber of Commerce $100 a month, $1,200 a year to fund that portion of the Canyon County Chamber of Commerce website, that slice of, that bit of their website. Well, with the financial situation of the county, that money was needed elsewhere, so we stopped paying the Chamber of Commerce for that section, which indeed they took it down, which means the county really had no decent representation on the internet whatsoever. So 2 people at that time stood up, Kim Davenport and myself. We went to the Canyon County Chief Executive Officer and requested permission to produce a website for the county, both of which were going to be self-funded, so no funds from the county were going to be needed. There was no reason to go to the commissioners and request funding. I felt, and I'm sure Tim felt, that the Chief County Executive of the county could certainly accept a donation in the county's behalf. And in essence, that's what both websites were going to be, donations to the county, and do that with, like I said, no cost to the county. Now, just to get everybody kind of on board so they can kind of understand what goes on with websites. To have a website, you need 3 things. One, you need a domain, and you can consider the domain on the end similar to a telephone number. You dial and type in the name,
and that goes out to the World Wide Web with a phone call. You then also need server space. You need a web hosting service, so when that phone number comes in, there's a computer somewhere out amongst all the thousands of computers on the web that has space, and that's where the phone number goes to. The third thing is you actually need a website that fills that spot on that server. You can think of it somewhat of an apartment building on the server. You lease space on the computer, then you basically take your furniture and move into that space, so when the phone call comes in, that's what you see in the web. Now, when Kim and I were getting involved in this, Kim and I both purchased a variety of domains. Kim purchased CannonCountyTN.org. I purchased several domains in that regard. She also purchased hosting and built a website on the Wix platform. And I would like to thank Kim very much for finding a problem in the county and addressing it and dealing with it, and she paid for it out of her own pocket. So thank you, Kim. Now, in the process of the transition, and I'm saying all of this so everybody is aware of what's going on and where we are today, because there's been a lot of confusion out there, Kim has transferred to me the domain CannonCountyTN.org, and she also made me the administrator of the website that she had constructed. Her site from the get-go was designed to be a temporary site. We have lost all representation on the Chamber of Commerce site, so when there was a void, Kim filled the void temporarily until I could come and get up to speed. So currently I own CannonCountyTN.org, and in the very near future, per Kim's wishes and our agreement, that's going to be donated to the county. That will be a county domain name. Kim had a vision, and in an emergency situation, created this kind of website. If anybody went and looked at it, there was a ton of information. She took the government point of view as a stopgap measure. Personally, I have taken a bigger point of view. Judging from the problems that I had finding out of what's going on in Cannon County, we needed to address that bigger issue, and that bigger issue is the website that will be demonstrated in just a moment. So currently, I own, or don't own, but I manage the existing site. I created a new site. What is anticipated is happening is that domain, that phone number, is going to be directed not to go to the site that Kim developed, but it will go to the new site. So you type in CannonCountyTN.org before, instead of seeing the Wix site, you'll see the new WordPress site. The site that Kim built is still going to be there, you just won't have access because the phone number changed. Is that clear? So that will sit out there until such time as whatever time period that Kim bought space on that server expires, and then we'll probably delete it. Now, there's been several issues that come up. I know time is tight tonight. I'm going to mention a few issues that I'd be more than willing to discuss, but for the sake of time, I will bring them up, and if there's no questions, we'll skip them. The website now is currently a .org. There has been some discussion of it being a .gov. Is there any longer any concern about the website being a .org or .gov?
I prefer .gov.
Thank you. And Corey is right. It would perhaps be better to have a .gov instead of a .org. The problem is all .gov sites are controlled by General Accounting Office in Washington, D.C. The first thing they want to do to even consider giving you a .gov is they want $400. They want $400 every year for as long as they have a .gov, as well as we're all familiar with government. The higher up we get, the bigger the hoops are. There's a lot of other stipulations and regulations that go along with it. Yes, it would be preferred prefer to have a .gov.
What's the advantage?
It's a .gov. There is,
All the information, yes, sir, all the information is encrypted. It does not allow second parties to come on board. You can pay securely. It's 1,000 times better than $1 in every single way. You pay for what you get.
the website that I am proposing is secure. It has an SSL license, it has web
Is it
security on
encrypted?
it. Doesn't need to be
It doesn't
encrypted.
need to be encrypted.
Doesn't need to be
So
encrypted.
any information out there, somebody can go out.
Yes, and I will get into that, because that's a key function of this website, that it's open source.
Is it a GoDaddy.com?
GoDaddy.com is supplying that building and that server space.
Domain
But it
by
is-
proxy?
It is a WordPress site in the Divi domain.
Is it domain by proxy? Is that what it is?
What do you mean domain by
Well,
proxy?
GoDaddy is, GoDaddy.com is domains by proxy. And basically what they do is they take your information and hide it so other people can't see who owns the.
Oh, okay. Everybody does that. Everybody that buys that sells you a domain can sell you domain privacy.
Correct. But
And-
that particular one,
All you have to
Actually,
do, all you have to
it's-
do is pay about $20 a year to get it. It's an add-on to the domain. So you can do that if you choose to do that. In our case of a community resource public,
so who's gonna own it? The county?
the county will own the domain.
Okay, and what will be a GoDaddy.com?
Well, not really. They will supply the web hosting.
So it will be a GoDaddy.com.
No, it will be a CannonCountyTN.org site.
I understand that. I'm saying, what will they provide? What will GoDaddy.com provide?
They provide the server space that will host the WordPress website.
Okay. You know that they actually have clauses in there that allow them to shut your site down at any time without any notice, without any regard to what you do. Our govs don't.
Okay. But what's the point?
Well, that means after you come in, after you do all this work,
And
it's coming.
And in 747 can slam into this building in the next 5 minutes and kill all of us. Can they? Yes.
That's a lot of this.
How often does that happen?
Well, I mean,
Anyway, moving along.
Let's
There
let
are-
him line with this
he asked,
presentation.
can we have questions?
Okay, let's keep going.
I don't see any problem in that. GoDaddy is a very reputable company.
Actually, it's not.
Oh,
In your
God.
opinion. In my opinion, that it is. Let's move on. There's been talk about a committee involvement, to control the website. Is there still concerns on that?
Well, I think we send everything else to committee, why wouldn't we do this?
Okay, and I'll explain that. Because one, we just have a committee meeting here, the committee went around and around, and we really didn't come up with any good solutions, because committees tend to work very slowly. I've served on so many boards, and I'm very familiar with the committee structure. And the committee structure is fine for some things, but it's not so good for other things. The committees tend to develop a consensus, but not necessarily the best thing, just what everybody can accept. The best way to run a website with a webmaster that complies with the business model that I handed out to everyone and several people in the audiences. Websites of the nature that I'm proposing are very interactive. They require constant update and revisions because the counter is constantly changing and making revisions. The website's not complete right now because the steering committee hasn't completed all the process of even authorizing the committees. So I can't put anything in the website until the steering committee gets done with their work, or that would have already been accomplished on the website. I don't think the committee structure, even though you say everything else goes to the committee, one, The webmaster is eventually gonna have to make the changes to the website. The committee does not have the technical background or the ability or the logins to go into the website and make changes on their own. You need to be trained, you need to have the graphical training in the background to take the pictures and reformat them, optimize them to the web, where you can put them on the site. And committees generally meet once a month. If you meet committees more than once a month, the people on the committee start going a little batty because they're just always spending times at meetings. And trying to bring things up to a committee once a month on an interactive website that constantly needs changes and updating would not be practical. I would like to address my motivation perhaps, because that has perhaps been brought up. Camden County is my new home. I have always participated in wherever I've lived in community activities. The county certainly needs a good website. I'm capable of producing that website, and this is my contribution to my new community. If you notice on the business plan, you find that it's a non-commercial picture. The webmaster will not get paid anything for doing this. This is a volunteer operation, because it's an agreement Kim and I made with each other that this is what we're doing for our new home, for that community. So I'm not doing this for any personal gain. Is there any comments on copywriting of the website?
Yeah, one.
Copyrights cover intellectual property. I'm not an attorney, but I ran a company for 40 years that on a daily basis dealt with copyright material. So I'm a better informed layperson on copyrights than most people out there. Copyright, since it's on intellectual property, are instantaneous. Upon concept of the copyright, you own it. The problem comes out in the bigger world of how do you prove that. A copyright and a date and by who's copyrighting it gives you protection on your intellectual property. There will probably be 10%, maybe 15% of the website that is intellectual property. The whole concept of this site is to be open source, take public domain information, which you cannot copyright. So as people go to the website and they see something, they're certainly allowed to copy it and use it for their own use, except for graphics, formats, and programming. Because those are intellectual properties that need to be copyrighted. It's not that the whole site is copyrighted, so nobody can take anything on the site, you can't use it, that's ridiculous. This meeting, as we move forward, I would like to be able to post the agendas for the commissioners meeting on the website so everybody in the county can see what the agenda is. Right now, it's very clouded and not everybody's getting that agenda. When the meeting's over, the minutes are approved, the minutes of this meeting should be on the website. That's not my intellectual property, the website's intellectual property, that's in the public domain. Everybody has access to that. The data that is gonna be on this site is basically open source, can't copyright it if you wanted to. And so there's no concerns of the site not being useful for that purpose. But there are certain things, and I will show you where there is graphics that hopefully we're going out to the communities, I'll explain in a minute, and have a contest to bring in graphics. We have Cannon County pictures on the site to bond it to the community. This is a community resource. Everybody gets a chance to influence and contribute to the website. Those things are copyrightable. Instead of thinking of sending this out, Corey, to a committee, why don't we have a committee of all the people in Cannon County? Everybody in Cannon County is on the website committee, because that's what open source gives you. If you're familiar with Wikimedia, what's the online Wikipedia. If anyone's familiar with Wikipedia, it is a huge online encyclopedia that has been contributed to by literally the world. So that's what gives it its strength and its focus, is everybody can contribute. It is also peer reviewed. Anything that gets up there that is incorrect pretty much gets taken down pretty darn quick, because the subject matter experts on whatever action there is on that Wikipedia gets cleaned out. That's the strength of Wikipedia. That's going to be the strength of this new website, is everybody can submit anything they want on the website that complies with the business model. But what happens is the people make suggestions, it goes to the principal webmaster with integrity, it will read it, which will read that, and post it if it fits the business plan. It would be bad to be able to let anyone post directly to the website, because things that will not follow the business plan that I've handed out will end up on that platform, and that would be derogatory to the county. So somebody has to be the gatekeeper, that has to be the webmaster, and yes, I'm certainly applying for the job. Are there any other technical questions? Then can I proceed to the demonstration? I'm sorry, your computer went to sleep. Let's wake it up. Give me just a minute. Okay, there we go. This is the home. Okay. This is the new home. This is part of the home page. We want to welcome everybody to the county. This is designed for not just the people in Cannon County, but it's designed for the people in Tennessee and around the country that may want to come to Cannon County. Let's present our county in the best possible light. They may actually want to move and come here because it sounds like a good place to be. That's why this site is functional. You'll notice at the top there is a slider, there is a for position. And I'm sorry, I don't have a mouse. If you notice, there are 4 buttons at the bottom. Right there, there's 4 buttons, because there's 4 slides in this sequence. We started with the Welcome to Cannon County, then what we're throwing up here that refreshes depending on the internet speed of your connection. It will progress faster or slower, generally about every 6 seconds, and it will then go through some of the major things that are covered on the website. One of which is government operations. So everything that was on the Chamber of Commerce site, is on Tim's site, has been duplicated here. You can also do services of the county. So if we want to see where do you go to get shots, what other things can the county offer will be contained here. And the third one was social. Let's show the social network to make the county look like a good place to come and visit. So you can scroll through there and okay, that's the home page. If you scroll down in the home page, without having to go through the slideshow across the top, you'll see several areas here that are fixed. There's county government. You will have more than one way to find any information on the website, because there's thousands and thousands of pieces of information on here. How do you arrange that so that people can find out what they want without flooding them with so much information that just turns them off and they go away and go do something else? You wanna make it accommodating to get the people to go through the tour and find out the information they want. If you wanna find out about county government, click there, it'll take you to county government. The county calendar, the events section, shall grow to be a very important function. Where do you go to find out what's happening in the county? Everyone in the county can put their events on the calendar, and then they will be able to find it here. And third, there are street fairs and festivals. We've got Red Apple Days, Good Old Days, Lighting Christmas Tree. We have a lot of festivals. If we post them here and we tie that in with Nashville's, what's going on sites, we may get some tourist dollars into the county. And quite frankly, I think all the vendors that are around the courthouse, they could use a few more customers, and all the merchants around the square, I don't think they're complaining that they're being flocked with too much tourist dollars. So we need to promote our county. And as I said, this is absolutely a community website. Here on the front page, we're soliciting county input. If you've got a club, a team, a service organization, a church, whatever, and you would like to be listed on the website, give us that information and you will be listed as long as you're following the guidelines in the business model that I've handed out. And then finally, down at the bottom, since we do want to make this as personable as possible, there will be a photo contest. Right now, the picture you're seeing on this website were purchased. They're not of Cannon County. We need to change that. We're gonna have a photo contest open to everyone with prizes to solicit artworks from around the county, and that's what we will populate our website with. Going back quickly to the top. And you can also use the menu across the top. So you can do the shortcut, you can go through the graphical informations, and as you go through the 3 slides, on social life, you can say what more information, and you can go page by page, deeper and deeper until you get to the information that you want. And if you don't see the information on there, send a request into the webmaster. We'll source that information and throw it up there for you and the next person. So the website is designed to grow. That's why it needs somebody that will constantly be monitoring that. Once a month isn't gonna cut it. This is something that in the beginning is gonna be a few hours a day, several hours a week, to take all the community information out there and put it on the website. All the information we're taking is open source information. The county is supplying the information, we're just posting it here to make it in a convenient and easy to use format. So, let's click on the government tab. If you want to have more information on government, under government, we have county executive, the commissioners, county officers, or county offices, boards, committees, etc. I think I've covered it fairly well. If something else needs to be added, this is not a rigid site. It can be added to fulfill the needs of the county. If you want to know something more about commissioners, here's the county commissioners. Let's see. Okay, there's the Cannon County Commissioners. All the commissioners should be listed, and their contact information should be listed, so you can enter dialogue with your constituents. People want to know something about what's going on with the county, you're here. Like it or not, you've all been elected to office. You're all public people. That information kind of goes with the territory. I guess somebody could be afraid they'll get a phone call at 4 a.m. or something. I don't think that's gonna happen very often. but at least you can now communicate with the people that put you in office. And it might be kind of nice to be able to do that, to have that access. There'll be a picture, just your name, district you're in, phone number, and email. I'm not gonna put names and addresses up here. We don't want people coming to your house. If you think that your people can't find where you live, how many people vote? Who's voted? Anybody can go to the County Board of Elections, plug down either $35 or $36, depending on which county you're in, because you can do it in any county of Tennessee. You get a full list of who votes in the county, and it shows your address. If anybody wants to find your address, there's ways of doing that. How many people drove here tonight? So you got a driver's license. Anybody can go to the DMV, call up your name, and I don't even know whether they charge a fee for it or not, but they'll get all your driver's license information, and I hope you like your driver's license picture, because they will have access to it. So to put it here on this website, we're certainly not gonna do that, because you have a webmaster with integrity that would not do that. But the fact that you don't list anything here doesn't mean it can't be found out. Everybody can find out anything about anybody these days. Now, I'm going to extend an option at this point. Everyone has the obligation to be listed there because you're a commissioner. All the commissioners will have the option of a personal page. And Janine was nice enough to say I would use her as a test person. And again, computer speed. We're running off of Brent's server in his office.
So this site is up?
This site is not up. It's about 5 to 10 days away from being able to be up. There's some more links that have to be there. I certainly wanted you to bring it to the commissioners, show it to the county before we went live, so there was no surprises. But this is what the purpose of being here, so everybody can ask questions, you build a comfort zone, and then we can take that phone number, CannonCountyExpand.org, that now goes to the site that Kim built. That same will now go to this site. Like I say, it's 5 to 10 days away, something like that. I still haven't optimized it, so when you turn on your cell phone, everything is formatted right for your cell phone as well as it is for your computer monitor. There's, like I say, lots more little details like that to look at.
It'll be
But
edited.
Please?
It'll be edited, because there's a lot of misspellings, and that makes us look bad.
Yes, and I totally agree.
Okay.
So you can, you're a good speller, we'll get together, and you can show me what's misspelled. I'm a crappy speller, I'm sorry. Product of public education years ago.
You're good.
Not too good. But this is a personal page for Janine. Each of the commissioners have the option for this page, not the requirement, but you can list here pretty much anything you want. You can do a little bio up there, or in your background, and why you're a commissioner. If you would like to put out little blog posts of your positions on different topics of the day, you can put them here, because that's not a political statement. That's a position statement that you're the administrator of the county. You can put that information on here. You will not put on here, gee, vote for me for county commissioner. That's political, partisan, that's not able to be posted on this site. It is possible to put a contact form on here, so if people go to your page and they want to send you an email, they'll just fill out your name, hit submit, that email will go directly to whatever email you want it to go to, and you can communicate with your constituents. So it's a very functional page or a tool for the commissioners to use, or not, at your discretion. Do you want to go back to government and county offices? There are the county offices are currently on there, and that should be a complete list, because those are the constitutional offices per the new organizational chart. And trust me, it works fine on the computer at home. I think we're having transmission errors with, the speed of the web. Okay, let's go to boards and commissions. It should work anywhere on that. There are the boards and commissions you can jump to, but there's an intermediate page. It is obviously not working. There are county offices, let's go to the county clerk as an example. Well, I'm embarrassed. It
So
does
on
work.
those is that where the agendas will be listed, or is that where the names of the people, like
No, what you need to, what we will go up to is the events. And please work. I do not know why.
that's okay.
The point is, there's a county calendar.
Yeah,
And that is linked to the calendar. And on the calendar, there will be, regular month calendar that will show you the event. You can go to the event and you can get a blowout, and the agendas will be posted on the calendar. The minutes will be posted on the commission page. So everybody will be able to see it and will be there. And it was worked out, and there's the calendar. So you go down and see, there's the county commissioners meeting, the meeting for tonight, and there's the blowout. What would happen is in this area right here would be the minutes or the agenda for the meeting. So everybody can see it and attend or not attend or whatever. Okay. If you're having a club meeting, Friday in Auburn Town, they're having a dinner. That information will be on there. This gives you a quick view of education. So you can see about all the different schools, the judicial system. There's also frequently asked questions. And right now there's 2 questions in there. We will build that. So this is where people can come. New people coming into the county that want to know where to vote, et cetera, you can go to frequently asked questions and get those answers. Okay? Now, that's basically the system. I'll be happy to get with you after the meeting, because I would like somebody to approve all the misspellings. But before we proceed, so I don't want to sandbag everybody, I would like some permission from the commissioners to go ahead and make this the county website. Would someone like to make that motion?
I'd like to make a motion.
Not second, what?
I'll make a motion that the county commission continue to allow Greg Johnson as webmaster and use of the domain canningcountytennessee.org to support and have all other officers, boards, and committees of the county to support the new website presented here, and that the webmaster will conduct the website following the business plan submitted.
Any questions, any further discussion? Call roll.
Janine Floyd,
Yes.
Russell Reed,
Yes.
Corey Davenport,
No.
Karen Ashford,
No.
Jim Bush,
Yes.
Greg Mitchell,
I'm gonna pass this down.
Brent Brandon,
Yes.
Randy Gannon,
No.
Kim Davenport,
Yes.
Ronnie Mahaffey,
Yes.
6-4.
Thanks, sir. All right, next item is, I do have a special request if I could. We have some resolutions, and we have Mr. Donald Barrett in, I wanted to put it under other business, this is going on longer. Did I get her up to go through these resolutions and more things? We'll move on to the rest of the business. Will you follow that? Yes, sir.
May I use the projector?
You may. Greg's gonna help us set it up. Or,
You can use a laptop if you want.
I have my laptop.
whatever you need. Projector still on.
I'm just gonna-
It's all right.
You know how to turn it off. He's gonna play tech.
Am I on? Can everybody hear me?
Make it, what?
Can't even make the microphone.
Test, test, test. All right, I'll try to talk louder. This is working. Is it? Thank you. I'll hold it.
That's fine.
I want to thank the commissioners for the opportunity to let me be part of your goals to have a more financially sound county. It was an honor to receive the contract in November, and we put every effort we had to see if we could bring forward to you some additional information in a more timely fashion than we typically run through. As a reminder, the review that we were contracted to undergo was going to include, would be not be limited to a review of your current collections of various current taxes and revenue streams, as well as identifying local and state opportunities of recoveries of past under collections or allocations. Basically, we were looking for missing revenue or slow running revenue. Well, I am pleased to say today that I have found you some money.
Millions.
Can't promise you that much. The first thing I want to go over are the monies that we have found that will be forthcoming to the county in 30 to 60 days. Completed a revenue of the completion of 3 tax stream reviews. There were 195 records that were looked at. Even though we still have 14 to confirm, there will be 34 new revenue sources and reoccurring dollars coming to Cannon County within the next 60 days. What we're waiting on for that is the state to confirm what the amounts are. So we will know those in 60 days. There's a 4th review underway of about 250 records. There are 50 that are still to be reviewed. But out of those, we are expecting up to 59 potential increases in revenue. Those are already streams you have coming in. They just are entitled to a little bump in revenue. We have those coming. Now, to address the issue that Commissioner Davenport brought up last month, there is a avenue for additional funds through your clerk and master's office. Daniel was very nice to assist me with that. It is potentially $37,000. This is something I can actually pinpoint a dollar amount on right now. These are unclaimed property. What I mean by unclaimed property, it is accounts payable that the county actually owes. You've had a sale of delinquent tax property. You've settled an estate in the county, and the owner or heirs are still yet to be identified. Now, here's the negative of that. When I spoke with Commissioner Davenport, I said, yes, you have the money, but you don't. And here's the explanation for that. That money is still an expense. It is unclaimed property in this category is never something that is truly abandoned. An heir can always come back and claim these dollars. They may have already claimed some of this from the state. We need confirmation from the state what this balance is. So my recommendation to all the counties when we find something along this line is you reclaim that money from the state. And I will explain. The county gets to hold that money for 1 year, or the entity. It could be a bank,
It could have been your accounts payable or any other governmental entity or professional entity in the state can claim dead accounts for up to a year. After that point, it has to be turned over to the state, and they do their best efforts to try to find the heirs to the money. They can hold it forever, or they can hold it for 1 year. The county can ask for it back. It doesn't take away the obligation to owe the money to the individual or their heirs if they ask for it. But what it does give you the opportunity to do is increase your bottom line, make you look financially healthier, and it also allows you to place this in an interest-bearing account. The dollars are still there and owed to somebody, but you can earn the interest off this. And I highly recommend that for the county. It helps with the financial health of the county, and it gives you an opportunity to earn some interest. And we'll know the full amount when we make the request to the state.
So you don't actually believe we should spend it?
You own it. It could sit here for 20 years, and the individual can come back and
But
say,
we don't spend the principal.
I would not recommend it.
Correct.
I would not recommend it. You would still carry that debt on
Because if you
your
did, and
books.
somebody come back, you would owe them $39,000.
Now, that's a makeup of several
Yeah,
accounts, but yes, you still owe that money, and as at this point in time legally, there is no end date on that debt that is owed or that asset that is collected. But you do get the chance to earn interest on it and make your bottom line look better in your audits. As an asset, yes, treat it as an asset. Now, the good thing with this, all of this, there's no action needed by the county commission. We already have these reviews and reclaiming of dollars in process. Some of them will have a clawback, as I talked about, a year's worth or potentially 2 years, 3 years worth of revenue, and reoccurring dollars as well. One of them, the fourth tax stream, will just be a reoccurring going forward dollars, but all of these will be dollars that will be coming in and available to the county that you'll be able to start budgeting for in your budgets going forward. Now, the next set of items, again, this is a revenue, I would say give us 60 days. Sometimes the state can turn it around in 30 to 45, but with the holiday season coming up, we're looking at 60 days to having that dollar amount. It will come automatically to the county. You'll have to do nothing. Diane will receive the information, or your trustee will receive documentation that it's been wire transferred into the account. So all that's done and ready. We're just waiting for the dollar amount. And we will continue the tax stream reviews. Those are just the four that I know we have completed far enough now to let you know that there are dollars coming into the county. The next items I'm going to recommend to you, I typically hold these recommendations to the end of my reviews. Misfortunately, given the need that Canyon County has to show a growing and healthy financial basis, I'm making these recommendations now. Again, I would be making these at any point in time, typically at the end of my review and the contract period, but I think it's important to make them now. And as we make these, if they are reviewed and considered and passed today, they are something that we can implement the processes necessary, a few steps that are needed, and have this revenue coming in effective January 1 for Canyon County. It'll be something you can start counting on in your budget when you start the budget review process in January or February. Now, I'm gonna see if you have any questions on what I just presented, and then there'll be a page presentation reviewing each resolution, and I'll stop at each one and open it up for questions. So do we have any questions on the revenue that we're currently identified coming in?
Yes, ma'am, what's your fourth tax stream that you've been looking at?
That information we'll share after the state confirms what the dollar amounts are.
You want it on the top, or the top tax stream? Can you tell them the top residents, can't go there, just on the, okay. Understand. All right, that's why I always ask. He asked the hard question.
He does. I remember from last time. They are situs-based taxes, so they're taxes owed based on the location. Any additional questions? Move on to in your packet, you should have a copy of all these resolutions, and I will go over each and every one of them, each one at a time. The first one in your package is, actually, all these resolutions that I'm presenting are going to be user fees raised to statutory limits. We're not creating a new law. This is something already statutorily allowed for the counties. So the first one I want to talk about, the first resolution you have in your package, is jail and courthouse litigation fee. You currently have this fee here in Cannon County, and you're receiving monies from that. It is collected by both your county and circuit court clerks. Currently, that is at a rate of $50 for each case file. Yes, it's the very first one.
It says to levy additional litigation taxes in Cannon County, that's the resolution.
And Mike Corley is here, right?
The county mayor has reviewed these documents, and we spoke earlier today, and I'm sure if you ask his opinion, county attorney, I'm sorry.
He has reviewed, we found one typo, correct?
Yes.
You've been corrected, Doc.
That's the one error that was pointed out by the county attorney has been corrected, and I will point that out in the resolution when we come to it. So the first resolution is to levy additional litigation taxes in Cannon County. That is the one that we did have the error on. So if you look on the first page of the resolution, the third whereas. Yours currently says, whereas the current total litigation tax collected pursuant to TCA in Cannon County is $25 with $50 in parentheses. The $50 wording should say, the $25 wording should say $50. All right, so back to the explanation. You're currently collecting $50 on each case that goes through the clerk's offices. $40 goes to your general debt fund. $10 goes to the general fund for courthouse security needs. And that right now generates, according to your 2017 audited financial statements, $61,907 annually. This resolution would increase the jail and courthouse litigation fee to $60. That's a $10 increase. That $10 increase would go to your general debt service fund, and it is anticipated that would conservatively allow you to increase your budget by $10,000 annually. And I will pause for any questions.
I have a question. You're earmarking $10 for court security, or you're saying that's already in the current?
That's already in the current.
It's already in the
Current distribution.
$67 in our courthouse security fund. If they've been collecting $10 for the last 10 years, there ought to be $100,000.
I can't address those. I only am following up what.
And the other problem you have is collecting the litigation tax. You can charge criminals all day long, but whether they pay or not.
This is collected both on civil and criminal cases, and civil case fees are paid up front. Any questions from the county commissioners?
So $10 goes to,
Currently, the breakdown is not in that, Commissioner. That's the information I provided regarding what you're
we're
currently.
just increasing it from $50.
You're increasing it from $50 to $60 with that $10 increase earmarked for general debt service fund.
Another
And
$50 goes towards another thing you said.
correct, $50 currently is going, $40 to your general debt service and $10 to the fund for the courthouse security needs.
And it takes 2/3 majority vote.
I'll make the motion. With the correction.
Correct?
This does require a 2/3 majority vote. And I will explain that in the passage of these resolutions, any actions that are necessary by any county department, I will make sure I hand walk them through everything that needs to be done, and we'll make sure these are ready to go and are functional in your system by January 1. Or the first available date according to the IT people and whatever processes we need to put in place.
Second.
Can I ask a question? Is this for the long term, or does this have to be reviewed every year?
This is long-term.
This is
None of the resolutions we're proposing is a one-time, it's once done, done.
It's a user fee.
It is a user fee.
It's not like we're increasing a $10 tax to the citizens. If you have a criminal court case, you have to pay this fee,
Or civil case.
or civil case. Okay.
And as I promised when I presented to this board, my intent is to find you revenue without increasing the burden on the property tax owners. And nothing I bring to you will ever be a property tax increase.
We got a motion, we got a second, call roll.
Janine Floyd,
Yes.
Russell Reed,
No.
Corey Davenport,
Yes.
Karen Ashford,
Yes.
Jim Bush,
Yes.
Greg Mitchell.
Yes.
Brent Brandon,
Yes.
Randy Gannon,
Yes.
Kim Davenport,
Yes.
Ronnie Matheny.
Yes.
9-4, 1 against.
Thank you, ladies and
We don't
gentlemen.
have to do that on 2/3, 2 times.
No, there is one.
We will have one that will require additional information. The next resolution you have in front of you is a resolution establishing an archives and record management fee in Cannon County.
We do have a grant for archiving. Yeah, $2,500. Again, this helps to, it's going to improve our ability to archive our records.
As the mayor stated, I was pleased to find that Cannon County had recently received a $2,500 state grant that's used for the preservation, arrangement, and description of historic records. Basically, it's your archive. And that will be records from every one of your county departments, your constitutional officers. It's all the boxes they have piled up in their offices now and in closets and on top of filing cabinets and things. And my understanding is that $2,500 is already being utilized to start the process for an archive location. That $2,500 is not reoccurring. Once spent, it's gone, and your efforts won't continue. So the recommendation is to adopt a $5 document filing fee. This will be collected on every document filed in all the clerks of all the courts in Cannon County, with the exception of the Register of Deeds office. And that's the statute.
And this is clerks of court.
Clerks of courts. It will also be in county clerk, county trustee, the sheriff, the county assessor, the county mayor, the board of county commissioners. But typically it's your clerks that process, those are the ones that handle the processing of paperwork. Your sheriff's office, your mayor's office doesn't process any paperwork or things. In some counties it does, that's why it's defined as that.
I wondered if it would be clerk or master.
Yes. Yes, it would be. The revenue collected off this will go in the general fund, and the conservative annual revenue estimate is $8,000. And this will be ongoing.
Now, is that money earmarked for that particular, or it just goes into that $8,000 goes in there, we spend it however we want?
You will need to use it for archiving. Your departments are already having staff do those as part of their duties already. My recommendation would be split it up. You will have to set up archives committee. You already have one individual over that. 2 more added to that will be sufficient to have a committee for setting up the archiving process. Once established, there's very little activity needed from that committee.
Just money and time
Money and time.
to run the archive program.
I will recommend also, there are Rutherford County and Bedford County being closer to your size and the type of documents you see come through, already have their archive committees set up, and I would highly recommend allowing me to introduce you to one or both of those counties and follow their processes, because they're already set up in place and running very smoothly.
Now, something similar to this was shot down by a former commission a few years ago, but
For what reason?
I don't recall the reason. I wish they had my paperwork, but I don't. It was, I think was gonna be used to help pay for the, purchase and renovation of the old, old Paul Reed / Andy Courier office. Is that not right there? You remember that? This before Mr. Bexell passed away. How long back?
We do have an archive, I'd call it somewhere in the rudimentary stages. We do have storage, the different departments are doing their best to maintain records. We provide a building, we try to keep it, of course, it's not, perfect. It needs some better work above the jail, the second floor. This will help us with better captioning, done a pretty good job with minimal amount of money, plus the 2,500. And it's a way to move us forward, a better way to improve the archive. We do have a public historic committee already in place.
So would we create a line item for this? In the budget? So we can designate where that money goes, because I mean, at the end of the year, if it's dumped in the general fund, we won't know what it.
I don't think this resolution specifies that. I think we could, I don't read anything, I didn't read anything about specifying a line, but that's not beyond reach. It's not.
Well, I mean, I love the idea, I think it's great, and I'm for it 100%. I just wanna make sure if we're collecting $8,000, we're doing this, because I've been in that old jail, and it's rough.
It is rough.
It's
Well,
rough.
I can, again, I have to look for sure that we have a budget line specified for archival work.
If I may-
Okay, all right, I missed, okay, very good.
If I may clarify for the commissioners, your clerk's offices will have a specific code that will be assigned to this, is what will set up in their computer system. So if you're already getting a breakdown of those taxes that go to various places, as I'm sure you would with the litigation tax, and its breakdown,
It does say.
this documentation, this would also have its own specific code within your system.
But I didn't think we don't have one out, like it says archive.
No, it just says designated exclusive for the County Story and Maintaining Record File.
Within these departments.
I'm sure your departments could tell you how much time and effort they spend.
I'll make the motion to pass that.
Second.
If I may, just a couple of things that the statute states about it. Number one, you will have to appoint a county records commission.
I thought we did that.
I think there's a person, but I'm not sure there's a commission.
Is it commissioner or committee?
You have to have a committee.
Right.
You have to have a
It's
committee.
a county
That's what it
records
says.
commission.
Who's in a commission, which is commission of the different committee. Could you please expand on the meaning of the difference in a committee or a commission?
The commission would be appointed as other members of commissions that you appoint. County mayor would make recommendations that the board would endorse. It's not a problem, it's just something that you will need to do. And then, the second item that I wanted to mention is the statute does require that any fees designated that are collected through this must be exclusively for duplicating, storing, maintaining any records required by law. So, it is restricted funds, I think that was pointed
That's
out.
what I was, yes. I still stand by the motion.
Call roll.
Janine Floyd,
Yes.
Russell Reed,
No.
Corey Davenport.
Yes.
Karen Ashford,
Yeah.
Jim Bush,
Yeah.
Greg Mitchell,
Yes.
Brent Brandon,
Yes.
Randy Gannon,
Yes.
Kim Davenport,
Yes.
Ronnie Mahaffey.
Yes.
9-4, 1 against.
Thank you, Commissioners. We're going to move on to the third resolution. And it should be the Capital Improvements Plan. Is that the next one?
Yeah.
I find this one a little timely, given the discussions that took place previously regarding capital improvement needs. Your county commission already has capital improvement needs. We heard those today, and I'm sure you hear them every time that it comes up. It's in everybody's budget. This simply requires this resolution would require the commission to put together a capital improvement plan. So a written list that would show you the priorities, so you could rank your needs, and as funding came available, you could fund them accordingly, or whatever manner you saw fit. It would give you one listing of all the capital needs throughout the county. This resolution and this improvement plan will help in a lot of ways. One of the next resolutions I'm going to recommend, but it will also assist the county with several other grant opportunities that may be out there or other funding that do require a formal listing for capital improvement loan. So I propose that to the commission.
Discussions. Is there any teeth in this if it's not followed? Is there punishments if you don't do it?
No, sir.
Right? There is?
No, sir.
I did a little research on this, and it's just like what she said, it does seem timely. Basically, this is the advantages. It creates an orderly and systematic planning for acquisition, financing, and use of capital improvements. And it says it provides a more effective evaluation of alternatives and solution in the crisis decision process. And it allows for more hidden debt consideration of hidden costs, which affects the operating budgets, provides for funding of projects on a priority basis. It provides stable payments and tax rates over a period of time. And it says it involves multiple fiscal years for project completion. And then, but everything on it, it just basically says it will promote better planning and installation of construction since the acquisition will be before crisis time. If you'll hear that, everything on this talks about crisis. And it just seems like we've been in crisis for so long, we don't know what normal is like. I would like to kind of see what normal is like myself. But it says the disadvantages, and this is the worst part of what Russell was probably talking about. It requires time and effort.
No, what I was talking about is if they were getting punishment.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you didn't do it.
Right, but this goes along with it, it requires, well, in my opinion, this is what it says, it's disadvantages. And maybe it's not what you were talking about, but this is the only disadvantage that it has, is it does require time and effort.
There is no financial penalty for not implementing this. However, if an opportunity presents itself, a grant, state dollars, or any other revenue sources that we find that require that, the probability of losing out on it for not having that capital plan in place and being able to immediately present could have you lose out on future dollars. It's information you need to have anyway at your fingertips instead of spread along 10 or 15 different department budgets.
Further discussion? Any other questions? Motion?
I make a motion to accept the resolution.
I second.
Call the roll.
Janai Floyd,
Yes.
Russell Reed,
Yes.
Corey Davenport,
Yes.
Karen Ashford,
No.
Jim Bush,
Yes.
Greg Mitchell,
Yes.
Brent Brandon,
Yes.
Randy Gannon,
Yes.
Kim Davenport,
Yes.
Ronnie Mahaffey.
Yes.
9-4, 1 against.
Okay, next item.
Thank you, Commissioner. If we can, I want to change the order. The resolution in front of you now is a resolution adopting provisions of the County Powers Relief Act of 2006. The resolution following that, which is the last one, says resolution to amend, requested amendment to the Private Act of 2013, Chapter 23. Let's discuss that. I think the first, I believe the other resolution is going to require a little more discussion from us. Just a moment. It begins, whereas on April 15th, 2013, Cannon County adopted hotel motel tax by private act. All right. Cannon County does currently have a hotel motel tax. That is currently generates $3,972 as of your 2017 audited financial statements. Currently, those dollars go into the general fund that are then immediately transferred to the Chamber of Commerce. And all of that revenue is earmarked for tourism through the Chamber of Commerce. The resolution you have before you will eliminate that transfer of the entire tax to the Chamber of Commerce. It will hold the Chamber of Commerce harmless in that it has a section in there that's going to dedicate amount not to exceed the 2018 funds. So let's assume that 2018 generated the same amount of money, $3,972. That amount, whatever it is for 2018, will continue to go to the Chamber of Commerce for future years. So they are guaranteed and held harmless for the revenue they're currently receiving off your hotel motel tax. My recommendation for this resolution is it's needed due to the county's current financial status. Tourism really doesn't need to be the first thing you're focusing your efforts on and your money's on. And it will also allow for consideration of local, state, and federal funding to the county unrestricted general fund. Again, if we have opportunities that come in, those monies can go to the general fund first, unrestricted, and then at a later date, if you choose to send those more to the county, to the Chamber of Commerce for tourism, you can. That is not your top priority here in this county. I've heard it from many of your county commissioners. I've heard it sitting here in this meeting, the meetings I've attended, and I feel this is necessary for the commission to transfer these dollars and any future dollars coming in for this to your unrestricted or general fund.
So the first year they get it, after that it's ours.
They will continue to get, let's just take the number, the $3,900, $4,000. Let's say 2018, that generated number was $4,000. They will continue to receive that monies. They can continue to budget for that. Chamber of Commerce gets it out of your general fund budget. The additional dollars that may be generated by this hotel motel tax will go into your general fund unrestricted and can be used for any source necessary.
So if we collect 5,000, we get 1,000, they get 4.
Correct.
And that's every year.
Correct.
They get 4,000 every year.
Correct.
Okay.
Even if it doesn't generate the 4,000?
Amount not to exceed the 2018 funds. You can make it lower than that.
No, ma'am, not my question. If the tax does not generate the $4,000 per year, is the county general fund on the hook for the whole 4,000, or do they get what it brought in?
You get what it brought in,
Then we won't get nothing.
but it will not exceed the $4,000 or the 2018 amount.
And that's forever.
Correct. Until a future county commission changes that.
Yeah, I'll make a motion for that.
Got a second?
Who seconded the motion? Corey.
Corey made the motion. Second. All right, call the roll.
Janine Floyd,
Yes?
Russell Ray,
Yes.
Corey Davenport,
Yes.
Karen Ashford,
Yes.
Jim Bush,
Yes.
Greg Mitchell,
Yes.
Brent Brandon,
Yes.
Randy Gannon,
Yes.
Kim Davenport,
Yes.
Ronnie Mahaffey.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. And in keeping with the theme, again, this final resolution, the whole goal of everything the Bear Group has done for the commission, and will continue to do in our research, is to provide additional dollars and help the county be prepared for where you are now and the growth that is coming to this county. This particular resolution focuses more closely on that growth that is, it's already here. You're gonna just continue to see it as the surrounding counties of Rutherford, Coffee, Wilson, those continue to grow, and you get the bleed over from those counties. This is a fund, this school's adequate facilities fee that's being proposed would fund capital expenditures for the public school system. Currently, Rutherford County and its surrounding counties, Wilson, Coffee, and Bedford, already have this in place. In the historical review, Wilson, Coffee, and Bedford implemented it because of the overflow they were getting from Rutherford County. When I started comparing the consideration for this, Woodbury, in my mind, is similar to Belleville. It's just right there across the county line, it's a quaint little town, and it's got a lot to offer. Just like Woodbury does, you're right across the line, but quaint, you've got a lot to offer. And people are noticing that. Murfreesboro is now becoming much more like a metropolitan Nashville than the little hometown that I grew up in. You're still that little hometown, and people want to come here. But with that is going to come a lot of need and draw on your infrastructure that you need to be ahead of the game for and not trying to catch up afterwards. You already have a need in your school systems. We've heard that the two roofs will need to be replaced. They've got other needs that they want, they've got other wants that they have in addition to the needs that they have. And that's just with the population you've got now. With new houses, new children coming in, that's just going to continue to increase. This resolution would impose a $1 per square foot on new residential development. That's heating or cooled area This would be on new homes, new apartments, and new mobile homes. This would not affect any current structure that's already there, any add-ons to that. This is simply new residential construction. I'm going into a little more detail on this so you'd understand the process, but it is a process we would develop after this in conjunction with the mayor's office and following the process that's already in place in these particular counties that are close to you. This is by no means the only counties that have this development tax. Half of the fee, let's assume an 1,800 square foot house. That would be $1,800 adequate facilities fee on that house. Half of that amount would be due at permit issuance. For your county, that permit issuance, you handle the permit issuance. For the occupancy certificate, that comes from the State Fire Marshal's office. The State Fire Marshal's office already works with other counties that do not have a structured county planning department to handle this, so they're familiar with this process. We're not creating something new or a new process. There are already systems in place that we would just fall into as a county. So you get half of the amount due at permit issuance, and the other half would be due before the certificate of occupancy would be given over to the individual. State Fire Marshal's office would assist with that, or if it's a mobile home, that's Middle Tennessee Electric Membership Corp. This $1 per square foot fee can increase 10% every 4 years. Take and review it, determine if you need additional funds, and it can come in every 4 years. This does not apply to public buildings, places of worship, agricultural buildings, disaster repair, if you've had some tornado or something come through and destroy homes. The replacement of those is not affected by this. It does not affect 501c3 buildings or anything that's determined to be a light, distressed, or urban renewal zone by the federal government. Cannon County doesn't apply to that, but that's one of the exceptions in there. And with a review of what is happening here in Cannon County, and coming from Rutherford County, it is conservatively estimated that that would be a $4,000 annual review for Cannon County. And I will stand for questions. I know that's a lot to throw out.
Just from a procedure standpoint, it has to come before the commission, correct, wise, to do what we're talking about.
Correct.
Just making sure y'all know.
So this let's say it's a 2,500 square foot house, and that's $2,500, where's that money go?
I lost my train of thought. That all this goes to capital expenditures for the school system.
Which means what?
It goes to your school budget.
So it goes to the budget, what can they do with it?
It has to go towards capital expenditures, so it would have to be roof repairs, new buildings, I'm assuming debt service.
So do we control that?
After the conversation I encountered earlier today, I'm not sure I'm qualified to answer that question.
It's capital expenditures for education.
Right. We follow the school board, right?
Well, they decide what gets built, you don't.
Well, but we appropriate the money. So if we don't want to build it, then they don't get the money. Same thing we got right now, wheel tax, correct?
Yes.
I mean, what's the purpose of having a wheel tax if we're not gonna do that? Why would we do this? I'm gonna charge the people $2,900 for a house, and then turn around and not let schools use it, after I told them the schools, that's their money.
This fee would,
But I got a question. They don't even have to get a permit if they can't get a mobile home, do they?
yes.
No, what do they do here? They
Yeah,
don't
the
get a
zoning,
permit.
We get certificate of occupancy.
They will with the zoning.
The zone, yes, the zone. And section 8 describes
If they do the fire marshal.
our zoning policy, it ties in with the county zoning or the board of zoning appeals, how that works, the process is. We'll have our first board of zoning appeals meeting on Monday. So, yes, this is
If there's a process missing currently, we will make sure it's implemented. And since this has to be voted on twice, if there are questions that I don't have the complete answer for like that, I'll have those by the next meeting.
This is tied into the zoning resolution that was passed, if I read it right, that's how I got it.
Exactly.
And that's where it comes in here, you look at section 7, 8, 9, it's basically a
project, do the bill.
And here's something to consider when you look at things like this that have dedicated expenditures. This eliminates the need for some of your general fund dollars to have to go towards that.
Can the money be used for county, capital expenses, new sewer lines, new?
It has to be education capital expenditures. Now, the county has a education debt service,
We do.
but that would apply also. I just got the nod from the.
No, I was just confirming that we do have.
Okay, he's confirming you do have. That's education capital expenditures.
So therefore, you could use the money to pay off the debt.
And it would free up your general fund dollars.
Essentially,
If you're using general fund dollars to pay education debt service,
well, we'll pay still.
but you know, in the future, with growth, you may have to. This is a way, an additional way to keep from dipping into your general fund dollars. Pay for growth. You've got $2.4 million coming down in roof repairs.
Well, that's fine, that's why we're having this discussion, so that, and that's why we gotta know that it's a two-thirds majority vote, and it has to be, done twice.
Hey, has anybody looked at the census number?
It's 13,890 last time.
14,000 roughly there.
In 2017, it said there's 14,216 people in this county. 14,216. Anybody wanna guess what they're predicting for 2025 in this county? They're predicting 14,316. Boy, that's a lot of growth. And by 2035, I think UT Knoxville is only predicting a 5.
In my way, and one way I look at it too, Russ, what I'm thinking about is, you add $1 square foot, people won't move here, it may slimmer down to, and make hill growth, period.
Well,
Is
we rejected what was the other, the impact.
Impact fee.
We rejected impact fee. I was a realtor during the time, and it was the awfulest thing that ever was. It was gonna keep people away. But the deal is that here we are, many years later. We've got some, we've got some new subdivisions around, but we have infrastructure now that won't support anything. And, we've got roads that need to be.
We've got 2 subdivisions in play right now, I found out today.
Right, and
That'll
it's,
be a plan on.
I'm hoping that things will turn around. If we get the county turned around and we get it headed in a positive direction, have it to be more attractive to the people. And, we've got a little place right down here, just like what she said, right down the road from Rutherford County, and one of these days, we're gonna see it edging on down.
Well, and the way I look at it, you was talking about the 1,800 square foot house and $1,800. $1,800 is gonna be the difference between a young couple owning a home and not. If they want it, they can work extra to get that $1,800.
Well, you're talking about basically you're talking about 200, like for a 200,000 square, $200,000 house, you're talking about 2,000 and, 1,000 and whatever it is. So you're not talking, when you start talking, and I'm not talking about, I'm one of the people that, I don't wanna see taxes, I don't wanna see anything, but some things are common sense. Because if you're gonna have to fund your growth. We are gonna have growth at some point in time, we've got growth, it's just, problem is people are moving in and then they're moving out.
Is the tax assessor here?
I'm talking about future though, not right now, I'm hoping
Does
future.
anybody know how many houses were built last year in this county?
Yes, I think the number was, 68, off the top of my head. Yeah, I think it's
Section 7 here says, such funds shall be exclusively for the purpose of funding capital expenditures for education, including the retirement of bonded indebtedness, the need for which is reasonably related to population growth. The county trustee is hereby directed to deposit such revenue in the education debt service fund. But on one hand, we're sitting here saying that our school enrollment is going down, and we're complaining about not having no kids, and then we're gonna turn around and charge the taxpayers money to build a house so we can put money in the fund when we're losing students. I mean, how is that even logical?
It's logical because at some point in time, I'm hoping everything's gonna turn
Well, I
around.
hope we have $1 billion in the bank, but I mean, the reality of that is it's not happening.
Well, we're
The
doing it here
reality
right now.
of your argument is, we have a lot of school buildings that are old.
True.
I know, but you and
No
you
capital
both have
outlay.
advocated that we close schools.
Sure.
Okay, which you're wanting to give them money to repair schools that they're gonna close?
No.
Okay, then I can't follow your argument, so.
If I could add
Oh,
some,
there's no
if I could add some numbers to this. You mentioned 68 new homes last year. If we're looking at 1,500 square foot, it's $1,500 cost. That would have generated $102,000 for Cannon County debt service, capital expenditures for public school system. The property tax rates, the value of land here is so attractive to folks coming out of Rutherford County. The growth is coming here. I could have told you 20 years ago in Rutherford County that we were this nice little sleepy little town. I can't go anywhere in Rutherford County now that a farm is not developed into a subdivision, or there's not 200 houses going on in fields that my husband used to play in as a child. It's coming, and I suggest you be prepared for it instead of trying to play catch up and go, dang it, I wish we'd implemented 5 years ago. Now we've got 100,000 homes here. I wish you 100,000 homes.
And especially with this new zoning law we got, realtors are gonna have to feel that here. They're gonna enjoy every home they put in.
Do what now?
Mayor.
The new zone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Law that was.
You got a question?
Realtors.
I said, go ahead.
You said there were 2 subdivisions coming in. Do you have any idea how many houses are planning on?
No, I just, matter of fact, I talked to the builder today and had a conversation concerning he needed to go before the board of zoning appeals. We need to look at that and see what his plan is. But he is developing, I think part of it is already in residential, but another part is in agriculture. So that's the thing now, as kind of the de facto, codes, or board, compliance officer, I was notified of that. So there is some plans in the books to build subdivisions.
I just know we're where we are today in finances, in our population, in our schools, because we have failed to plan. Failed. No.
From what,
Yes.
Can we wait and vote,
Yes.
and check into this and think about this instead of voting tonight, because I'm not ready to vote on this tonight.
Absolutely.
One of the reasons I moved it to the end, I will point out it will require 2 votes at 2 separate meetings, and anything that comes, 2/3 vote, yes, sir. Anything that gets a building permit between now and the time this is implemented is not counted in it, so it will be grandfathered under the old law.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, question. Yes.
It would appear that $1 per square foot for heated and cooled, this is new residential.
Correct.
And then you're saying $1 per square foot for mobile homes. Is this what's done in other counties? It would appear that there should be some difference there. What's being done in Wilson, Coffee, and Bedford counties? Are those mobile homes and residential homes charged the same?
I have a copy of the resolution that passed Bedford County. It is $1 per square foot for all of these entities
So it's
listed
not
here.
tied into the cost of the home?
It is not tied into the
Per
cost.
square foot,
No.
it's just $1 a square foot.
It is not based on the value. It is a fair and equitable tax charged to a home builder on the size.
It's an impact fee.
It's an impact.
Exactly.
Currently, your homeowners here, your farmers here, are paying for all the growth that has come and will continue to come. The goal is simply to try to make this something where, again, it's not a property tax increase, it is something that the growth pays for itself.
How would you treat, current homes that resell?
This is not a transfer fee. This is only going to apply to new homes, new apartments, new mobile homes. And again, there are exceptions for the places of worship, the 501c3s, and things along that line, and it does not apply to commercial.
Might be pretty good, like, except for those ladies.
That concludes my presentation. I appreciate each and every one of you for your time, patience.
Thank you for your work. Thank you.
You're welcome. It won't be the last you see of me. I have more reports to come back, but this should be the bulk of the ones where we have this.
Let's take a 5-minute break. We'll be right back,
Let's do it 7.
take a 5 minute.